One, you have talked about the economic aspect of crime. Second is the limitations in which the criminal justice system works. I have brought out a few aspects. I'll name just one. When I looked at the entire gamut of the criminal justice system, I realized that it starts at one point, that is the FIR. Every incident, when it sets off the criminal justice system, it is triggered from the FIR, invariably, or maybe a complaint in a court. But if you look at the growth of that process, oh my God, it proliferates. It will start from an FIR, then a bail proceeding, then a revision proceeding, then an appeal proceeding, then a conviction, then a trial. Just that one FIR. And that FIR maybe has 5 accused people, 5 accused. What finally happened to each one of them, you can break your head, you will never be able to finally, after 10 years, find out what happened to each of those accused. So what I am suggesting is, and I brought this out in the book, it proliferates.
Yes, yes.
It starts diverging from that point and never converges. And finally, if you look at all the proceedings in the entire process, right from the CGM to the Supreme Court, Supreme Court will lay down something in one particular matter. That may be only one tip of that FIR.
Exactly.
So this is something which baffles me. Are we here to just proliferate things
Yes.
and not converge it finally? So if it has a beginning, a matter, a criminal justice proceeding, if it has a beginning, it should have an end.
And also, yes.
The end doesn't come. End never comes. Investigation was based mostly on statements. In Bihar we call it Abhyanand, your statements of witnesses. As I went along, the credibility of the statements became very fragile. It used to change from moment to moment. A person may tell you something at this moment and may retract and tell you something else in the next moment. So both me and the judges that I came to meet during this process, they also expressed their reservations about the truthfulness of these statements. So I started wondering whether in this age of technology and science, should we lay so much of emphasis on statements where those are not as reliable as it was made out to be? So therefore, when I started working on the forensic science part of investigation, I realized that ideally if we can get the tenor of scientific investigation into the veins of the investigating officers and the police department as a whole, I can say that you give me any case, any incident. If I just do the investigation very scientifically, I may not need any oral statement to justify it, to prove the charge, or even to disprove the allegations. You've asked for an example. A rape was committed when I was DGP. It was in a in-house incident. It was a case of POXO. We got hold of the accused. The investigation was finished within 3 or 4 days. We went ahead with the trial. The prosecutrix herself, the victim girl, herself backtracked. It was an in-house arrangement for the accused and the prosecutrix. The DSP was flustered. He said, "Sir, now the case is over. The mother of the girl, she has backtracked, the girl has backtracked. Where does the case stand?" I said, "Don't worry, you did it in a hurry. Now let's stall the proceedings for a while, get the clothes of the victim and the accused sent over for FSL examination." The DNA was matched and so were the other parameters. It was proved scientifically.
Great.
Now the district judge was in a fix. He did not have any oral evidence and he had the highest form of technical evidence, that is the scientific evidence. And for almost a month he kept the case pending and he pondered over it. Finally he sent the accused to a 10 years RI in the POXO case. During the 3 years that I was there as DGP, with a lot of confidence I can say, I raised the level from almost a zero, where I used to be hauled up in the High Court and asked, how will this evidence level grow up if you have such a laboratory? When I left, it had almost all the equipment that a national level laboratory has. I felt that the police department would pat its back by recovering a few clothes here and a few utensils there. When I would also go for a raid and see that the utensils and the clothes that was recovered were done so from the houses of very poor people. So what struck me was, if lakhs of rupees worth property has been looted from a house, a rich man's house, and recovered from the house of a poor man, if the poor man loses a lakh, then somebody has gained a lakh. Who is that somebody? Because this man definitely has not gained a lakh. If he had, then he would have become a lakhpati.
Yes, of course.
So this was the question which kept striking at my face. And the policemen would be gaga over it. They would feel very happy. We have detected the case, sir.
That is.
I would tell myself, no, sorry, you have not. Where has the rest of the money gone? Until you find out that, you have not detected the case. So this kept haunting me right through my career. I would look at a big man's house and I knew that a lot of property which went into it was through dubious means.
Yeah.
Dubious, I would say, is when the state gets its revenue, it also spends on the development. So there is a leakage on the revenue side. State is not able to collect all the revenue. And there is a leakage on the expenditure side, which is the scams. Now these two generate black money and they come together to form a parallel state. When I used to look at my role, I would say, am I protecting the parallel state or am I protecting the actual state?
Yes.
When the leakages take place from the revenue side and the expenditure side, offences are being committed. Why am I as a policeman not looking into those offences and stop the entry of property through these offences into the houses of big people?
Yes.
This is the economics. So crime will fuel black money and black money in turn promotes crime. So it's a vicious cycle. And where do we stand? We stand not at the gate of the black money being generated by crime. Black money fueling crimes. This cycle We are nowhere. We means police. We are nowhere here. I've read a lot on police reforms and have also practiced policing for 37 years. There is only one thing that I can say. If as a policeman you endear yourself to the people generally, people will give you powers.
Exactly.
Politicians will never give you powers. But if you see where, to whom I have dedicated this book, is to the common man of Bihar. And I felt that I drew my strength from the common man of Bihar, although I never sought votes from them.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more interesting updates.